Welcome to Created Healthy. I'm Dawn Combs. It's a common idea that God gave us everything we need in nature, but do we believe it enough to walk that out in truth? Often the very same people who say this go looking for answers on how to use food and medicine from man-made sources. Everything man creates comes with a user's manual. Why would God be any different? I challenge you to join me in seeking revelation about our body, mind, soul, and spirit health by digging into His written word and in practicing pure science in the visible world of His creation. Because every house has to have a foundation, it was laid strongly on my heart to start this podcast with a daily series. I am using the book, The Bible in 52 Weeks, which you can buy for men or for women. I invite you to read along with me. Welcome back. I am in Genesis 30 through 33 and still deep into the soap opera of Jacob's life with Rachel and Leah. In the end, this family produces 12 heirs, which become the heads of the 12 tribes of Israel. The way that they get to it is a lot of pain, and we see this in some of the names of the kids, the way that the mothers are naming them. This is a personal story for me too, again, because there is a lot of infertility running through this family, and a lot of the pain and anguish and interpersonal issues are wrapped around that. So you have Jacob, who fell in love with Rachel originally. He gets Leah, which is sort of, as I was talking yesterday, it's sort of God's taking him through a journey here. God is teaching him a lesson. There are things burdens that he is shouldering, relationships that he is having to nurture that are teaching him. It's a really, really amazing arc throughout these 4 books. First, we see Rachel. Rachel, from the last reading, her womb is closed because she's getting love from Jacob, and Leah is not. So Leah has had 4 babies already before we get into this section, and Rachel gets pretty angry at her sister. And there's a lot of sibling rivalry again here, and Jacob is just allowing it to run amok in his family because he's not being the man that would stand up for anything different. Rachel makes the same mistake here as Sarah and thinks maybe she'll get some children by bringing in her maid. She does, and this is Bilhah, and Bilhah does have babies with Jacob as well. Leah now has, at this point, she is dealing with infertility as well. Well, and in Leah's case, this is going to be secondary infertility, where Rachel has primary infertility. But now Leah's womb has been closed after having 4 babies, and she is not going to let her sister one-up her. So she brings in her nurse, her maid Zilpah, and gives her to Jacob. And Zilpah has 2 sons as well. They begin to quarrel over belongings and trading time. And we get to this story about Reuben's mandrakes. Now, Reuben is Leah's son, and Rachel sees that he has harvested mandrakes. Now, I'm going to take you down the plant route here because I think this is so fascinating. Mandrakes are, it specifically says that Reuben gets these in the time of the wheat harvest, and he catches them in the field. Now, if you've followed me at all, you know that I am pretty big on leaving the weeds alone and having them intermixed in our crops, and these mandrakes grow in amongst the wheat, and they don't need to be fought and pulled and killed. And in fact, during the wheat season, the mandrake berries would be blooming. Mandrake is in the tomato plant, is in the tomato family, so the Solanaceae family. And we are told alternatively, when you look up this plant, that it is toxic And then we're also told that Persian medicine is filled with its reputation as an infertility remedy. So here we have Reuben. He's aware. I guarantee Reuben, either he has been studying traditional medicine and looking at plants, or somebody else in the family has brought this in. But Reuben knows enough to bring these mandrakes back to his mother. They're also known as an aphrodisiac. So here we have Leah, who really wants her husband to love her and really wants to get back to having babies, enough that she's giving her maid to her husband. And Rachel catches Reuben loving his mom and bringing this remedy to her, and wants the mandrakes too, because she's been struggling with infertility. And honestly, this is the base of this rivalry back and forth of who can get love from the husband, who can have children for the husband, who's more valued, who's more seen. This has been fueling their rivalry and fueling more and more children in the household, ironically. But Rachel really wants these mandrakes because she wants to have children. It's her desire, her fondest desire here is to have children with her love, her husband. Leah, they quarrel here, but I think it speaks a lot to them actually making a truce. Leah does give her the mandrakes, and that's going to be a big deal. Leah knows that these mandrakes are going to give Rachel the ability, if they work, if they match their reputation, they're going to give her sister, who already is loved by their husband, and that's something that Leah desperately wants. If she also gives her sister the ability to bear children, she's risking losing any kind of claim on their mutual husband. But she does give this. This is a love offering. It's a truce moment between the sisters. And in return, Rachel says, I will give him up to you. So Rachel is doing the best that she can to give her sister what she craves, which is time and attention with their husband, and in exchange for this mandrake. The beautiful thing here then is that they both go on to overcome infertility after they both consume this mandrake. So we have our first infertility story where it's been treated and cleared in the Bible. Really, really cool. And I think it's not too big of a stretch to see that the whole family is sort of on this journey. Jacob must know. He has wives that couldn't have babies, and now they can have babies. He has to know that something has happened. Surely they're having these conversations, and I think the family probably becomes more interested in the plants that are around them than maybe they were before. We go on in the story, Jacob's story, because at this time they're still living with his father-in-law, and he's bringing all these children into the world, and he's taking care of his father-in-law's flock, and he says, okay, I've got my family, I need to go on, I need to move on and have our own lives. And Laban says, oh no, you've been so good for my family, it's so good to have you here, you're making me rich, please stay. So Jacob makes a bargain and says that he will stay if Laban lets him have all of the speckled sheep and goats. And Laban is more than tricky. He's a little bit unfair here, and he separates out every speckled animal, thinking that if he keeps those far, far away, that Jacob won't be able to have more of them by crossing those speckled animals with Laban's pure white or pure black sheep and goats. And he thinks that he will win out over Jacob and keep him around and kind of enslave him. But Jacob has been in this family that's used infertility remedies and understands the plants that are around them. And this is actually often used, this space of the Bible is used a lot to prove that everything in the Bible is just a bunch of hocus pocus, and it's magical thinking, and so the Bible can't be read as a true history. But let's take a closer look here. What has been suggested in the reading of what happens next is that Jacob takes some tree stems and he cuts them into strips, and because the strips make the sticks mottled or striped, he then lays them in front of the sheep and the goats every time they come to the trough, and by looking at the spotted or striped now sticks, the sheep and the goats magically bring forth spotted and striped animals, babies. Surely that sounds magical. But I think if we look a little bit further at Jacob, who has come through his own infertility treatment journey, may know a little bit more about the fertility benefits of the plants around him. It says that he uses poplar, almond, and plane. So probably this is Populus. Your Euphratica. I can't read my own writing. I've got this written down. Populus Euphratica for the poplar, Prunus dulcis for the almond, and Platanus orientalis for the plane. Both Populus and Platanus are going to have salicylic acid in them, and by peeling the bark away and exposing the underbark, and then putting them in the water troughs, that is going to make a tea out of the water in the hot sun. It's going to soak and add those chemicals into the water. Many women today are actually treated for infertility with a baby aspirin because the anti-inflammatory is helpful to get over one of the causes of infertility. Salicylic acid is aspirin. Prunus dulcis is actually known for male infertility and also to increase milk production. So here we have plants that actually have a long use of increasing fertility, increasing digestive health, urinary health, and both male and female fitness and fertility. It's not magical thinking that he is putting these in the troughs specifically to strengthen those animals that he would know as a good animal husbandman. He would know which animals are throwing the most spotted and striped animals. He has been with this flock day in, day out. He knows which animals to encourage. Also, increasing the fertility rate with these trees are going to mean more twin births, more triplet births, more births in general. And this is a recessive trait, the spotting and the striping. It's a recessive trait in sheep and goats. So the more animals he's able to actually drop, the more he has the ability to get more out of the bargain. God is definitely creating this miracle. He's bringing it about, and the knowledge has come to Jacob through his journey, the things that he needs to learn here so that he can break these habits that he has brought into his family that are unhealthy from watching his father and his father watching his grandfather. He's on a journey to learn that, and it appears that he's learning it and he's picking up a lot of knowledge that actually is benefiting him here. In the end, he decides he is released. He goes back home. He's going to have to face Esau. Esau is not the happiest person that he left back behind him as he remembers it. And he is ready to face his brother. He has learned his lesson. He is more humble. And he winds up in the middle of the night wrestling with God. And I think, wow, yeah, he probably did wrestle with God. Figuratively and literally here. He is wrestling with his behavior that brought him to this point. And it was God ordained for him to take this birthright. But it wasn't a beautiful example of wonderful humanity here. What he did was wrong, and he wronged his brother, and he was going to have to go back and face that. He's facing the music, but he does have the courage to do that. And in the end, I think he's so tenaciously holding on to God, and he gets his name changed to Israel here. And when he does meet Esau, he meets Esau with humbleness. He treats his brother as the elder that he always should have treated him as. And Esau is ready to forgive him. And it's a moment of a completed cycle where both brothers are healed from what happened to them in their childhood. They have grown, they have changed. Both of them have clearly been on a journey that God has taken them to grow and change. Whether it will be enough, tomorrow we'll read more about Jacob's children, these 12 boys and one girl. And let's see if breaking the cycle as the adults is enough. It's happened early enough in these kids' lives that they don't duplicate it. I hope that God is blessing you today and that he brings you back to read along with me tomorrow. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with a friend. And I'm always interested in hearing what God is laying on your heart. So drop me a rating or review, or join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Dawn Combs Really.